Anyway, welcome. It's so lovely to see familiar faces from last year and new faces from this year, and parents who I know have been to this talk already. So thank you for your support and for being here. And I'm very happy and excited to chat to you about what's happening in grade 4 and grade 5. And yeah, I think we really do just want you to know that you're in capable hands. We like to think with ASB as our guide in primary phase, and Heinrich, who's come with 15 years, 11 years of teaching experience at a very good, solid school, traditional, but Heinrich, he'll talk to you now about his experience of working in a school like this. And yeah, I've got a little bit of a different background from environmental education space and teaching space. So yeah, a really lovely mix of minds and skills. It's just wonderful to have your support. So thank you all for being here and virtually as well. Thank you, Andy. No PowerPoint presentation is complete without an inspirational quote, right? So this one, as we said, we sort of all worked from a similar base of ideas of what we wanted to talk about. And this was actually a quote that ASB stuck in: that education is not the learning of facts, but the training of the mind to think. And that comes from Albert Einstein. And I think that really is at the core of what we're doing at Green School. Like Andy said, you Google search something and get 21 million options of websites to examine. Which one is the right one? How can I discern good information from bad information? How can I learn my multiplication times tables to be able to apply them to, I don't know, a maths problem that asks me to figure out how many times I can, or how many liters I can get out of a bucket of water, whatever. So how can we apply what we're learning at school? And I think really that is what Green School aims to do. And not only now in grade 4 and grade 5, but through children's learning journeys. So all the way into our middle school and high school program and university and beyond. Can the children actually take information and the skills that they've learned to apply it to their own learning? So this is lovely. These were lovely snippets that ASB taken directly from parents' application forms. When you first signed your children up to Green School, you were asked to put in reasons why. Don't worry, it's not your eyes. They're coming up magically one by one, supposedly. Reasons why you have signed your child up to Green School. And we read through these over the last few days, and they really are amazing and super inspiring. So I've put in italics the important parts here, so that your children do not learn in the same way. And that we encourage a love for learning to instill a strong sense of individuality and responsibility towards the earth. For kids to learn in a different way to what we've grown accustomed to, being outdoors and getting fresh air is hugely important to us. So this is a hugely inspiring reason to come to Green School, and you look at this campus and you think, oh, of course, I want my child to learn outdoors. But then parents start to worry, is that enough? So while this is hugely inspiring, I think it is also these reasons that originally drew parents to Green School might be causing a little bit of panic now. Like, oh, are we still learning our times tables? Are we still learning how to do addition and subtraction? And should, heaven forbid, I take my child to mainstream school, will they cope? So forward-thinking education in an ever-changing world, like Andy keeps saying, learning for our children's futures, not for an archaic education system. A love of learning in our children. Educate the whole child, thank you, to build on fundamental and integral connections to the environment, and to expose them to a diversity of cultures, nationalities, and beliefs, and to foster their natural curiosity, growth, and individuality. And through our years of being students ourselves at both primary schools, high schools, university level, and having children in traditional schooling systems, there is a little bit of curriculum trauma, and this is something that ASB has spoken to us a lot about as a primary team. And curriculum trauma is actually, it's a thing, it's a theory that's basically saying that the traditional current way of schooling is actually creating trauma in our children and trauma in our teachers and the parents who are sent home with oodles of homework, where as teachers, with such a time crunch, we can't actually get through the curriculum that's set out in the CAPS curriculum. So what do? We send it home with the parents with a very strict WhatsApp message saying, please make sure that your children knows their times tables by the end of this week because we have a test. So yeah, it's just huge anxiety, huge trauma that we're creating. So thank you, Rian. So it is resulting in this children and teachers and parents having a fixed mindset. And what we really encourage here, and certainly my grade 4 families, you would have seen on our class dojo that we speak a lot about growth mindset with the kids. And on class dojo, we've got a lovely set of videos all about what growth mindset is, and it's something we really encourage here. So growth mindset is just a lovely little image of what it is. It's hugely freeing to be able to know that it's okay to make mistakes, to know that not everybody has to learn up to the 12 times table by a certain time, that we meet the children where they're at and we teach them at their pace, and learn from our mistakes, and that it's okay that you are reading a level 1 reader and your friend is reading a level 5 reader, because this is life, and everybody's different and learns at their own pace. And as we said, this curriculum trauma, just the fact that in traditional schooling we teach to assess. And I can give you an example of it in my first teaching job at a government school up in Johannesburg. It's actually my old school. One of the subjects I was teaching as a grade 4 teacher, of the 6 subjects I was teaching, in first additional language, Afrikaans, we had 17 assessments in one term. The 17 assessments in one of the 6 subjects that I was personally teaching meant that not only did I have to prep and mark them, but those poor children had to learn in one subject or prepare for 17 assessments. And so what do you end up doing as a teacher and a parent when you send homework? You cram for that next assessment. And yeah, huge trauma. And of course, COVID, we're still seeing some effects of that. And there are certain gaps in some of the children's learning, and there is anxiety in our children as a result of it. But yeah, what an awesome environment that we're in to have the ability to teach in small classrooms and to teach outdoors. And again, we just love this phrase, to meet the children where they're at. So you missed a little bit of grade 2 maths. That's fine. Let's pick up in grade 4 and grade 5 and fill in those gaps at your pace. Okay, and Andy spoke about this earlier as well, our green school skills. We like to think that our green school skills are a way to remedy or heal that very fast-paced, high-pressure-ness that comes with curriculum trauma. So can you take all of the facts and things that you're supposed to learn? Can we teach them creatively to help you to think creatively? Can you use them to communicate in different ways? And a prime example of this is this week for English in grade 4 in our planning. Literally all we focused on this week in English is preparing for our assembly demonstration. And in that comes a whole whack load of our green school skills and green school values, to be able to communicate with each other, to collaborate. The children had to do their own research. I don't want to run for the grade 4 parents, you'll see tomorrow, but they had to do their own research on the topic that we're presenting on tomorrow. So it gave us an opportunity to tap into these green school skills and assess the children in something that seems like a very unlikely task, presenting your learning demonstration of learning, in your assembly time. So yeah, I think green school skills are a lovely way for us to remedy and turn things around from that curriculum trauma. Yes. Hand over to Heine for a little bit.
Okay, hi everyone. So I just want to add on what Andy said now about me being in a state school for 11 years. And I think my planning changed 2 times in the 11 years I was there. The first time was because the curriculum changed from, I think it was NCS, or the National Curriculum Statement, to CAPS. So that was the first time. And the second time was that I was born and I wanted to change the thing. It was just the same thing over and over again, and we're checking boxes. So this quote is actually so nice. Just think about that. This is an educator in Green School Bali. If we think we have checked every box, we are either lying to ourselves or we have a set of criteria that doesn't represent a worldly scope. So that is exactly what we are what we try to do in my previous school. We check boxes. we try to work like super fast because the people are coming in, the moderators are coming in to check that you do all the things. You need to take your file, all the files need to be in the same color to a place. And then when you sit there with the teachers teaching the same subjects, you realize that everyone is doing exactly the same project now in the whole Western Cape. Everyone is doing an electromagnetic brain at that moment. So where's the creativity in that? So that was like a shock to me, and I realized, okay, this is not on. So what about the other kiddies who want to do something else? So they are checking boxes. Yes, we're also checking the boxes, but it's not happening all at the same time and in a sequence. We're getting the children again with that. So yeah, thank you. So what learning should happen when? So I did it on purpose, scope and sequence one word, or scope and sequence two separate words. So in state schools, scope and sequence is one thing. There's stuff that you need to do in a week. You get your planning, and there's a certain sequence that you need to follow. Otherwise, you're not going to get through all your work. And then also 90% of schools in the country, all of them are on the same level, more or less on the same level. All of the curriculums are more or less the same. So the scope and sequence for the whole week, let's say, you have to continue with that. And as what Lisa said now, then the pressure is on the parents, because you can't finish your work now. So who gets the load? You say it's homework, but you can't finish the work. Even like a test or an essay, if the children can't finish it and you have to like mark it now, you tell them it's for homework, but you had to finish it there. So the pressure is so on you, and who feels it? The learners feel it. And the first thing that they leave, let's say it's a sport child, they love their hockey and the netball and everything in their school. So now the pressure is on them to do their academics, right? You want to get matric, you want to go to university, so they leave their sports. They just say, I can't do this, I can't do the chess anymore, I have to focus on my academics or my test that I need to write. I can't go to art club or whatever, which is so sad. So they're becoming robots just to fit into that box. So scope and sequence with us, we have a lot of stuff that we need to do as well. Last week, we did fossils and extinct animals, and we talked about that. And one of the learners asked me, so what animals are nearly extinct, like on the red list? And I started talking, and then one of the learners interrupted me. And normally I would like, shush, you can't ask questions now, we have to continue. So I listened to the question, and it was so nice, the question, that someone else interrupted that one, and it was like a discussion. And I stood there and I went to sit down, and I didn't realize me sitting down. It was like 5 minutes of them just talking and sharing ideas. And I could see who's the one who's going to become a debater, who's the quiet one, who's like behind the taxi driver and just giving info to the one who's debating, just giving info. So it's also so nice to just leave them and learn from each other as well. So Becca and me were just smiling at each other to see this happening in front of our house. So like Andy also shared, this is the Greek school and the CAPS document where we looked at both of them to see if they align. And yes, they align through and through. And some of the things are actually added to the Greek school curriculum, not the Bali curriculum, the South Africa curriculum. So we surpass the stuff in most subjects. We surpass the things. So there's more things that the children learn. They would tell you, yes, we did build a fossil. They're doing fossils now while I'm standing here out of solder. So they're going to tell you, yes, we built a solder. You're going to think, you played with clay today. But they're not telling you about the skeleton they drew, top view, side view, and front view, and all the things they need to make. And now they're going to bury it for the grade ones, who's going also learning about fossils and things, and they're going to excavate. Yeah. Sorry, yeah, don't tell them. Don't tell them. Yeah.
Fossils in the playground.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Yeah. And last week, and we got it right that most of them believed it. It was like, I've got a bone. So it was so nice. Okay, so this is the maths one, and then if you go on, thanks, Ryan. Sorry, your arm. This is the literacy one. So you will see in the class one, they are just saying reading and viewing pages 17 and 18. So you have to go there if you're a teacher, go to your handbook and go through the pages and check. And there's like pages and pages of stuff that you need to do, but it's actually just a sentence that you need to do. But they want to show you a lot more. So that's a literacy one. So just quickly, before we go to the thematics, I just want to add to that about the, sorry, Ryan, can you go back? Thank you. So in the thematics, the learners are learning stuff now that I've been doing, like the same thing in my previous school for 10 years, exactly the same. Now I'm learning from the learners. I don't know if you guys have also realized that if they come home, they are telling you things and learning you things that you actually didn't know as well. So I'm also learning from them. So while I am developing this thematics curriculum, we did last year outer space, like Andy said. So I just thought, okay, let's do some STEM and model making with the grade 5s this year. So last term we did the plant cells and the animal cells, and we built them. And it was so nice for the learners to practically see the thing coming to life, and not just learning it in handbook and you telling them what to do, because that also happened. A lot of me talking and going through the lesson, and if there's a hand going up, just wait, I'm going to get to that, and you never get to that. You just have to finish the work, and that question disappears, and it would have been, maybe it would have been a life-changing question for that learner, which is sad. So 10 years of me teaching, and all the questions just hands down, hands down, hands down, hands down. So luckily now I've got lots of time, and not lots of time, but time to answer the questions. So we're going into the thematics now, and I think Lisa, you're going to start off with the grade 4s. Thanks.
Okay. So as Andy pointed out earlier, we have those 3 frames of learning: our proficiencies, which is our languages and maths, and our thematics, and which we're going to talk about now, and then our experiential learning. And experiential learning is all that real hands-on stuff. So that's our music and our art program and our green space time when we're in the garden. But our thematics is really what drives the theme of what we're teaching. And we have this wonderful opportunity at Green School to work together as a primary team all the way from grade 1 to grade 5, so that there is cross collaboration between what we're doing, like the grade 1s and the grade 5s with their puzzles. So each term, and we'll fly through quickly, but each term we have an overarching theme. So in term 1 in primary, our overarching theme is growing Green School. And you can see if you track through the grades, it grows from learning about our I-Respect values that drive how we operate at Green School, all the way to, like Karen said, STEM model building. For us in grade 4, we built on from My Place in Africa, which the children learned last year in grade 3, to looking at My Community, which was the Green School community, but then building on from My Place in Africa to My Place in Space. Grade 4 parents, you'll remember the speeches we did last term. And with that, we looked at the actual Earth from the core to the atmosphere. And then next year, when grade 4s move to grade 5, they are then moving into outer space. So each theme builds up through the grades. So yeah, maybe we can switch on to the next one. In primary this term, we're looking at treasures of the Earth. And in grade 4, we're currently looking at ecosystems, and it's split into 2 blocks. So we generally do half and half, 5 weeks and 5 weeks. So the first 5 weeks we're looking at ecosystems, and then we're building onto human systems. So yeah, and then as I said, it builds on through the grades. But yeah, it gives us such lovely scope to be able to use our theme of ecosystems and use it across all of our subjects. Like for instance, for an English task this week, we had the children assess our Renosterfeld's Fynbos ecosystem, and they were using reference books, some really challenging language in reference books, that they were having to look for information themselves on certain features and plants and birds and things that we find in this ecosystem. And I'd also prepared, much like Karen said, we go off at a tangent with these kids. So the scope is I have to teach ecosystems, and the sequence is kind of fizzles out as the kids start asking really interesting questions. Because we was talking about Renosterfeld Fynbos, and what does Renoster mean? It means rhino, and then the discussion became about rhinos, and so we spent a lesson and a half talking about rhinos and endangered species and what that means. And so my lesson took like a huge detour, and it was wonderful. And there we were, we have this amazing ability to be able to cast to TVs and to Google on the spot and to get our reference books out, and to have an amazing group of kids from all across the world who've been to Zimbabwe these last holidays and could share some really interesting facts. So yeah, it's a wonderful way to use our theme in everything that we're teaching. from English to Afrikaans and Green Studies across the board. Term 3 is Inside Out, and we look at sustainable innovation. So this was something that the grade 4s loved last year, and I'm looking at James because Cam did an awesome project where the kids had to, we learned all about sustainable innovations and sustainable technology, and then their final task was to design a sustainable world. Most of the boys in my class chose to do it on Minecraft. So they could bring their devices in and they could design a sustainable city. It had to meet certain requirements, but they could do it on their devices on Minecraft. And then we had some other girls who chose to do it on PowerPoint and just do like awesome 3D models of their cities. So again, we have a scope of what we need to learn. The sequence is a little bit more dynamic and fluid, and differs child by child. And finally, in term 4, we look in grade 4 at our bodies, my beautiful body, and we look a little bit at changes that children might be experiencing in their bodies. And in grade 5, I'm going to hand over to Heinrich because this is quite an important thing for grade 5 parents to be aware of what's coming in term 3 and term 4 for grade 5 in terms of your thematics work.
Which is so cool. If they do the My Beautiful Body, the boys come to me, and the girls go to her. So we have the discussion. So just to prepare some of the parents, if you have not yet discussed, we're not going into really deep detail, but just some minor changes that might occur along the way. Okay, so footprints is like, I think the main event for the grade 5s every year when they think of a footprint they want to leave behind in their community. So those of you who were here last year with my magnificent 7 learners in grade 5, they did projects where they want to leave a footprint in green school or in the community. So they have to do research, they have to go and see what the problem is, try and get finances if it's necessary, and then they have to also promote this thing during assembly. And then the last thing that they need to do is have like a little stall where they show their product or the little model they made of the bigger thing they want to make. Like, for instance, Teo wants to make, he's still working on that. He wants to make reusable or sustainable backpacks for green school, for the learners that they can use. So everyone's going to have like the same bag. If you want to buy it from him, then he uses like old material, makes a green school bag, and the learners all use the bag. So that is his plan. So he's still busy doing research and stuff in that. So we're going to start in term 3 with this, and then work our way to term 4. And some learners even go further. I know 2 girls in Bali, they started with the bye-bye plastic bags thing in grade 4 or 5. They started with that. And they made the whole Bali plasticless. So it went so far that plastic baggers, plastic baggers. So it started, it started in their school, and then it went to the community or the bigger community, and now it's the whole town or the whole city is like plastic bag free, or they're trying to do it, which is so cool. And I think they are in grade 11 or 12 now, and that's how far they have gone with this whole thing. So footprints for me is like, it's so cool to see the learners, and this is where their creativity and critical thinking and problem solving come in, where you can see my child is only 11 years old, but she's standing in front of all these people and talking about the project or these projects and having a stall and promoting this thing. It's like, I was like, how is it possible? My grade 7s in my previous school struggled a bit to have an oral presentation. How are they going to do it in front of everyone? And they did it. All 7 of them did an amazing job. And I'm still so proud of them. So this year, we're going to level it up again. So level up, level up, level up. So it's going to be good. So that's footprints. So next one.
Okay. So we thought we'd just show you a little bit about planning. This is the grade 4 planner, and it's always so interesting to see how everybody's minds work. I'm very like my straight rows and my alignment and my colors to be just so. So this is the grade 4 planner, and you can see I've just taken snippets of it to have a look at the first 6 weeks of English, for example, English and Afrikaans, and you can see worked into all of our planning and always front of mind for us are the green school skills, the green school values, and actually our permaculture principles, something that we don't talk about often enough actually. But yeah, they do feature in all of them, and you can see we have considered assessment in our planning, something that Heinrich is going to chat about a little bit. just a little bit of a zoom in, I wanted to chat a little bit about green studies, and Andy's mentioned the stages of environmental readiness. What is amazing for me in grade 4 and grade 5 is there's a really big leap and change that happens in the children. And up to grade 3, the stage of environmental readiness is to just learn to appreciate and love their environment. In grade 4 and 5, we start looking at environmental issues like climate change and deforestation and all sorts of things. And the kids, it's amazing. All of a sudden, they're starting to form their own opinions about things and to be able to grapple with these really challenging ideas. And I had a little girl in my class last year, we were looking at deforestation, and she literally, we ended off with this really inspirational David Attenborough video. And she was sitting there with these big eyes, and she flung her hand to her heart. She's like, "Miss Lisa, I am questioning my existence." Like super dramatic, but yeah, green studies really is, as Andy says, it is what sets us apart and makes us green school. And it's not shame. She was just joking. But yeah, we really sort of challenging them in the green space, looking for sustainable solutions. And in this case, we're looking at things like biomimicry, and in grade 4, they're going to be, one of their assessments is looking at biomimicry to create a new product. So yeah, quite different. That's fun. But what I wanted to zoom in on for grade 4 a little bit more was in our second block of maths. We are going to be doing things a little bit differently. We are going to have the children set up a little shop, and they can do this individually in pairs, and they are going to have to come up with a project. And obviously you can see that this can expand into English, to creating posters and collateral about your product, about the shop. And they are going to apply maths principles to the running of their little shop. And we're going to have an actual market day combined with grade 4 and grade 5, where the children are going to sell their products. We'll see if we can maybe do it to the whole school. But what we'll do is each week we'll focus on some kind of theory. So capacity, volume, and weight, which is the theory for the week, but will help the children in the running of their shop. So can you, like for example, Neo with his beautiful juices that he made at the last market day, he would have to understand volume, measuring in liters and milliliters, and weight, even how much beetroot he requires to make a liter of juice. So working in, again, as I said earlier, the ability to apply the theory that you've learned. So maths will be a little bit different in the second block this term, and a lovely chance for us to collaborate grade 4 and grade 5 together. But rest assured, your children are learning, like Andy said, what they should be learning at a state school and a mainstream school, according to a very, very solid scope and sequence from Green School International. That's your plan.
Yeah, I'm going to go quickly through this.
Yeah.
Okay, quickly. Okay, the only thing you can zoom in, click again. Okay, this is my planning. It's not so grand, but I want to show you the Real Life for Kids that's happening every week in the grade 5 class. So Real Life for Kids is I think Kiro and I think Rijas as well. They have this. It's almost like a board game that you play, but in the board game, and I think it's 12 or 13 weeks to play the board game, where you have to buy a property, and you get you're almost like a worker at school, so you get a salary. Every day you come to school, you get a salary, and you can use your salary then to buy property, build a house, get insurance for your property. If there's a fire and you've got insurance, you're fine, but if you don't have insurance, there's a problem. Fines as well, and lots of fun stuff. So all maths, literacy, almost like business management, everything is contained in that one thematics thing. So I'm looking forward to spending that, and that you're going to see my class moved now, but there's 2 massive counters in the middle of the classroom. That's where the board game is going to be a permanent thing in the classroom. So the learners know, okay, it's real life for me, okay, kids. Okay, just an example of a rubric. I just took Jake's rubric for his creative writing. We did the fossils, and we talked about Jurassic Park, not the movie, Jurassic Park theme park, and they developed their own theme park, made a poster, and then they wrote a newspaper article about the grand opening, and then something went wrong or something went right in the Jurassic Park, and they wrote a newspaper article, and then we're using this lovely rubric just to assess them. And if we're done with this, thanks, it comes into this. So I don't think you haven't seen this document yet. This is the scope and sequence on the side. This is the activities we are doing. And then on the right-hand side, all the green and yellow and orange blocks, that is where the learner is at. And that is an active document to just, for me and the other teachers, just to check where are they at. So it can be green now, but then next term something is a bit off or didn't plan as much as they needed to plan, it turns into blue or orange. Then we know we need to work or something went on there. So this is just for us to track the assessment and track the progress of the learners. So you won't see their names there, but you can also see some of the learners struggling a bit more in the language than others. And also I want to add to this, I didn't say this. In my previous school, if you have 30% for maths, you would fail, okay? But then if there are too many people failing maths, the Department of Education will send the principal a message to say, we have too many people failing maths, we're going to send all the learners on to the next grade. So then all of them pass. And that happens a few years, and it happens in the matric as well, hopefully not. And then they get to university, and I think, Andy, you shared about the amount of students, is it 55,000?
It's 66, 2/3 of students do not graduate.
Yeah, but the amount of students who applied for Stellenbosch.
Stellenbosch University, 55,000.
And 5,000 got a place. Because they just got passed along. So that is what we want to stop. So the learners might struggle in English here, but they might be stronger in something else. And this whole thing, we move up to the next grade with the learners, so the next teacher knows, okay, we have to work harder in this area. Or if it's green, okay, we're going to challenge this learner a bit more, but harder work to do because they are getting it right. So just to challenge them a bit more. Okay. And then Class Dojo, this is just a feedback tool for us. Also that we use, other than the rubrics and all the messages that we send you guys, also a tool for us to give you feedback of where they are at, show you a picture of the learner's work. There's a class story one, which is the public thing for every parent. And then there's the portfolio, where you have private access, me and the parent of the learner, private access of all the learner's work. And I type a message in there, which I didn't have time in my previous school, but now I have time to do it, which is amazing. So before you get the report card at the end of the year, you know, okay, something we have to work on this. This is maybe something we have to work on. So that's just Class Dojo. I'm talking really fast now.
Okay. So this again was something that Eddie sort of put us onto, was the idea of Brainwaves and how to help your children succeed in a school like Green School. And I think what it all boils down to is just the children practicing impulse control. So can the kids, because it is quite challenging, you know, we're moving from the mat to the garden to the chairs to inside, outside, standing on the counters, painting on the windows. Can the children control their impulses and enough to sort of soak up all the intricate things that we're actually learning along the way? But yeah, sorry, I was trying to make sure that I've said everything that I need to say. But a big thing that really helps with our brain rules, with our growth mindset, with the children's learning at Green School, is to encourage mistakes, to encourage that it's okay to make mistakes. It's the best way to learn. And the byline of growth mindset is, I can't do this yet. So yeah, if you would like to help your child succeed, it's that I can't do it yet, but I'm learning, and it's okay if I don't know it in grade 4. My grade 5 teacher is aware of it, and hopefully you can find it out as we go. But Green School really is just a kind of magic, and we think that it's to see the magic, you have to be a magic seeker yourself, and we truly believe that all of you in this room, all of you on the screen, have seen that magic, and that's what drew you to Green School. So thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing your children with us. And yeah, let's continue making magic together.